All right.
Good morning, everybody. It is Monday, December 21st, a few days from Christmas and a few more days from New Year, which we're all excited to be turning the page on this year of 2020. Although I'm Lauren Cohen with Investing Across Borders, my podcast about how you and your family and friends can invest across borders and make a real impact, not only in your home country, but in other countries as well. And one thing that has happened that's been the silver lining in 2020, certainly for me, is becoming a part of this amazing organization, eXp Realty. And one of the main reasons that it's so exciting for me as an international lawyer and realtor, of course, is because of the gentleman I have on the show today, Mr. Michael Valdes. Michael, please introduce yourself and just give a brief bio about where you came from and what brought you to this company that is going gangbusters.
Lauren, first of all, it's my pleasure to be with you today on your show. Thank you so much. I love talking about all things international, and I love the fact that this is your space as well. So I'm looking forward to our conversation today. And you're right, 2020 has been a very interesting year for many people. And, there've been a lot of people that have been dealing with and struggling. And, obviously my heart goes out to all of those folks. And hopefully 2021 will be a much brighter future for all of them and all of us. But 2020 for me personally has been, just like you, a really wonderful, wonderful experience in joining this incredible brand. And so I joined eXp in May of this year, and as president of eXp Global, and it's really been an incredible adventure that has been fantastic. But prior to that, I was with Realogy for 15 years. So I was looking after all
the
the
international. Just to clarify, Realogy is Coldwell Banker, Century 21.
Just about to tell you. Yeah, I was just about to tell you. So
Sorry.
Realogy is not a consumer-facing company. So they own Sotheby's, Coldwell Banker, Century 21, ERA, Better Homes and Garden, and Corcoran. And I was in charge of all the international business for all 6 brands. And so collectively, that was in 113 countries.
That's it?
So, yeah, that's it.
Are we going to be in 113 by the end of 2021? Listen, at the rate you're going, it's not unheard of,
It took 15 years to build that one. So,
okay.
But listen, we're at a much faster trajectory here at eXp. And as I said, I love what this model was. The idea that eXp makes the agent the brand.
Absolutely.
And when that is something that is articulated really well across the globe, it's really no stopping us.
There isn't.
Imagine this, Lauren, in 2 months, right? So we really started doing in August, we announced to the press the 5 countries we were coming into, which was South Africa, Mexico, India, Portugal, and France. And so we started launching 2 months ago. So we launched South Africa 2 months ago. We launched India a month ago. We launched Mexico 2 weeks ago. And then it was Portugal last week and France last Monday. Mm-hmm. So we got everything done, these 5 countries done in 2 months span of time without me ever jumping on a plane.
It's an incredible world that we live in, because this could not have happened, certainly not without jumping on a plane a couple of years ago. But circumstances dictate how we respond, and we have responded in kind. I mean, eXp has gone crazy since the pandemic because it's such a tech-driven company, thank God. And so the stock, when you came in, and when my boyfriend told me, buy it at $8, and I'm like, I don't know. And what was it the other day? $75 on Friday it closed?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's only in that span since you've been here. I think it was April through to now. And it just reflects the amount of impact that this company's had, not only internationally, but on its domestic realtors, especially here in the US, where people were struggling and not knowing what to do. And how do you get through this pandemic? And how do you buy and sell houses when you can only Zoom? And I want to go and physically touch the house. Well, here's an opportunity for you to build something, not just something for today, but something for tomorrow. And that's the most beautiful part of eXp, right?
So you got to remember, it's sort of like, it says that, our motto is we were built for this when this happened. And it's really, really true. It's the idea that, everyone is on Zoom calls like we are now. Everyone's on Microsoft Teams, but
All day long.
eXp world
Yes.
has been around for 10 years. The Verbella technology that's owned 100% by eXp is a technology that is now being used by a lot of other industries.
Yeah.
So Deloitte, Price Waterhouse, the financial sector is using this, the entertainment sector is using this, the educational services industry is using this. So now it's really the idea that our technology, to your point, is now we're valued as a tech company, which we should be, because it's what we have, it's what we're doing, it's what is our differentiating factor. And I'd just like to add something to what you were saying. It's not just the world we're living in, but there's no other brand, in my opinion, that could have done what we did.
Right.
So it is not about just not being able to jump on a plane because it's COVID. It's about the fact that we already our entire platform is based on what we can deliver over a Zoom call or over a Microsoft team. There's nothing else I can show you in person that I can't show you virtually, because that's what you experience. You experience eXp world. You experience all the training in the world. You experience everything that we've created there. There's no other brand that does that because we own the technology.
It's really amazing. The other day I saw some kind of article on one of the social medias about how in 10 years, everybody is going to be operating their business through an avatar. And I'm like, we've been doing that for 10 years.
That's right. That's right.
And you have young children, right?
I do not.
Oh, I thought you did. Okay, so I have a 10-year-old, and my 10-year-old, like I just showed him the eXp world the other day, and he's like, he starts doing this and this, and I'm like,
so crazy.
It's crazy. I look at him on his PlayStation, I'm like, oh boy. But the truth is, he knows what to do. He's like, mommy, this is like, I use my avatar, I smash into the wall, right? So we'll just let's briefly touch on what this is. So we have this virtual world through Verbella that we had the foresight, or not me, but the company, the founders and the developers and all that had the foresight to buy this technology. And this technology drives how we interact, where we meet, when you have international meetings, when you launch a brand, when you have questions, when you have onboarding, everything is in this world. And I've run masterminds in there. I'm sure you remember international masterminds, which I'm going to start doing again in the new year. And we would have like 30, 40, 50, 60 people coming in. I'd have slides on this virtual wall. They were my physical slides. I was using a special third-party thing and showing these slides, and the people were watching and asking questions. It's an amazing thing. And that is the future of real estate. And we have it now. And
listen,
people,
it's amazing what this technology is, because it's, I do a global international meeting every month. In fact, I'm doing it right after this interview.
Mm-hmm.
And so, there's usually like 500 people in the room. We did our conference that we just did last month. There was 17,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is something that is just crazy. We were doing between the live streaming and the people that were in, it was funny because we actually, the capacity was so strong that it actually sort of shut it down a couple of times. Yeah. And so we had to sort of keep fixing it as we were going. So it's sort of like, what's really wonderful is the agility of this company as well. But it is so true, because what I love about eXp World is that even though, you start sort of thinking about this sort of like remote, sort of like virtual reality technology, but once you're in it, it becomes commonplace.
It does.
Right? People come into my office. We just sort of like have that regular interaction like you would with anyone else in a face-to-face.
Like we're doing now.
You build these relationships through your avatars that are extraordinary. When I meet somebody in person, it's like, well, of course we've met. It's like we've never physically met.
Right.
And it's like, oh my God, you're right. And because you have the sense of relationship already done. And what's so beautiful is the fact that this actually brings the world together. So when you go into the avatar, it is it's culturally sensitive, ethnically sensitive, religiously sensitive. So everything that you actually are, it really is a melting pot of the world, and it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
And so when you go into the EXP world, you can also jump into the Canada world, the Mexico world, the India world. You know, I just left a webinar right now where I was speaking, and it
We're
was
speaking in
for,
Hindi, right?
it was like, well, I didn't speak in Hindi, but it's sort of like, so, but it was amazing that here's a webinar that's being conducted in Hindi
Yep.
for EXP India. And
India,
I've got to
the
tell
whole
you,
country. It's not, and India is like this huge, huge, mega
1.3 billion
populous,
people.
right? And all of the in India, there's so much opportunity in real
Oh my
estate.
God.
It's just an amazing, like the numbers alone, and
Yes.
yeah, it's great.
Extraordinary.
I wanted to ask you something
Yeah.
about so when you came over and you started building in the world, what did you find in this EXP world? What did you find to be the most intriguing part of being able to work in this virtual world that's like a video game, essentially?
Well, you know what I found is the fact that what we were just talking about,
The
it's the fact that
relationships.
it becomes that for a split second. But once you're in, the relationships that you build are really so deep,
Mhm.
and you build it around the world. And the idea that you are now connecting the world in such a real way. I have right now, this is my last, as I was mentioning to you, this is going to be my last meeting of the year for my global meeting. And I have each one of my country leaders coming in to thank their teams. And so you're going to have 9 countries on the stage. And that just brings the reality of who we are. You know, it was for our conference last month. You know what I had? I had each one of our country leaders have a welcome in their native language.
Yeah.
And it was so impactful to understand when you start sort of saying we're a global company, when you start hearing it, when we start sort of like jumping up and there's a webinar in Hindi, and there's a webinar in Spanish, and there's a webinar in French. And, you know, it was the idea that we were going to be very cognizant and celebrating the country and honoring the country in which we were entering. And so I did not want to have a Mexico webinar in English because we were in celebrating a Spanish speaking country. Same thing in France. We were not going to do that webinar in French. Excuse me, in English. We were going to do it in French. And it was really celebrating the country that we were in, because you have to. You're a domestic company in that country,
Yeah.
but we're a global company.
How'd you handle Canada? I'm just kidding. You spoke Canadian, eh?
There you go, except in Quebec.
Right. Well, there you go. Exactly. I'm often, half the day I spend on calls with Canada, and I'm
Yes.
often translating. And even my own self, I still speak Canadian because I say like that bloody whatever. And I don't
Right.
even realize, because I grew up there and it's just part of my culture, but I live in Florida. So when I
Yes.
first came here, I had to adjust my wording, like sorry to sorry. You hear this because you're talking to Canadians too. Project,
Of course.
just different things. And Canadians are always excusing ourselves for different
Well,
things.
listen, I lived in London for 5 years, and some things just stuck with me. So I still say, the queue was crazy, instead
Right.
of like, I haven't sort of said I'm not standing in line. The queue was crazy. It's like, I still say rubbish bin, and I catch myself. And so, but it was so funny because I lived there for 5 years and I loved my time there.
Yeah. Yeah. What about one of the things that I find the most amazing and beneficial and rewarding in this company is collaboration.
Oh God.
And I'm sure, like, even between us, okay, you came on board. Here I am, this international lawyer. I came in. I did not come in because of I was intrigued by the international, but at the time I came in because I was kind of like talked into it, and I was
Yeah.
like, what? I wasn't doing anything with my real estate license. Literally, Michael, I've had it for 13 years. Did nothing, didn't make 1 cent until I joined eXp. Nothing.
Wow.
I didn't even work with my international real estate investment clients that were getting visas through real estate. Even them, didn't even deal with it, didn't do
Yeah.
referrals. Now I'm doing referrals all over the map, right? And the collaboration, everybody wants to help everybody. And
That's
there's
it.
a lot of reasons for that, not the least of which is because we are all, like you said, owners. We're all shareholders. We're all vested in the outcomes of everybody's work within this company. We want everybody to succeed because then the whole succeeds. And that collaboration has been huge for me. And I'm sure it's something that you have found very unique as well.
It's one of the most beautiful things about this company.
Yeah.
It's the fact that, everyone says that it feels like a family,
It does.
and that is very, it's a term that's overused, but not here.
Right.
It's something that truly feels that way. And
does.
it really is, you can put in a question on workplace chat and put in a question,
Oh,
and in 5 minutes you have 32 answers.
yeah.
Right? And
I've
it's
been running
somebody who
these
just wants to
webinars.
help you. What's that?
Sorry, I've been running these webinars about immigration through real estate, and everybody wants to know, because it's a very unusual topic. How do you get an immigration visa through real estate investment? Most lawyers think you can't do it, even immigration lawyers, because real estate investing is passive. I will say that I've only done 2 so far, but there is at least half the room filled with eXpers that are trying to learn how to help their clients service their clients better, because they don't know how to guide the client, because obviously they're not lawyers, right? So here they have somebody in the family that they can trust, who's going to guide them. And I am there for all of them. They ask me questions all the time. I have a couple of agents I'm working with now that want to actually immigrate from Canada to the US, and they're with eXp, and they're going to stay with eXp. So it's really just a lovely feeling to be a part of that, and to be able to have that impact and help these agents and realtors to help their clients. That's what it's all about for me, and I know for you as well.
Absolutely. There's 27 countries around the world that do real estate for some sort of residency.
Mhm.
And so, it's a wonderful opportunity to be able to assist all these clients around the world with those opportunities.
Yep.
We've just opened now in Portugal, which is one of the best ones, right? And so the Golden Visa program that has a 10-year tax abatement. There's a lot of great foreign investment that's coming into Portugal because of that. It's also one of the reasons why we selected it as one of the first countries coming in. It is an incredibly robust real estate business there. It's a beautiful country. And there's a lot of incentives that come into Portugal.
Yeah, I'm watching Ernest going through the country, and every other day I'm like, I want to come. And it's one of the places I haven't been, and it's on my bucket list.
Country.
Yeah.
Yes.
I haven't been to the whole kind of Spain, Portugal, Morocco, that whole area. That's really on my bucket list. And eventually. Well, soon I'll have a reason, because we'll be able to visit all of our eXpers. Like, Ernest takes his Portugal office every day. It's in a different place, watching it.
You know what?
It's brilliant. Who needs an office?
Brilliant
It's
with
brilliant.
that.
It's brilliant.
You're selling the country, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
My mom's from Spain, and so I lived there as a child, and so it is so for me. I love that entire. Well, I love all of Europe. And so, but like Spain, Portugal, Italy, France, it's just so incredible to have that presence that we're going to be continuing to build in continental Europe, which is really going to be a good foothold for what we're doing across the globe, right? And so, we're building this global brand, and
it's so global.
We're also going to be very. What's that?
I'm like, if you don't know now, you're gonna know really soon.
Absolutely. And it is, and it's true, right? It's the idea that, we are sort of under the radar until you know us. And then it becomes, that person becomes the ambassador and the spokesperson for us. And they start saying, how do you not know about eXp?
Yeah.
And it's like this fire that gets ignited.
It's true. I have a new recruit that we're bringing in, hopefully, and she runs a VA company. And she said to me the other day, I hate you because now I have to get my real estate license. She loves the model so much. And I'm like, that's great. Whatever it takes, fine. So talking about, we're obviously not going to talk about what countries we're onboarding, because we're going to have a press release on that in early January.
We are, yes.
I have some insider information myself, which is great, but we won't share that. But Europe is a great place. South America too, for a lot of reasons, but most European countries, for example, have access to the E2 visa, which I'm sure you're familiar with. And that's a great visa for immigration through real estate. EB5, which we're not even going to go to, is a total nightmare right now. And I just had somebody reach out to me and want to raise, this is crazy, $1 million and put a whole EB5 project together. I'm like, you do not want to do that. That's one unit. It's $100,000 to put the project together. Let's find you a different way. But the reality is that there's just so much opportunity with Europe and with many South American countries that also have that visa. And Turkey and Grenada and some other countries have
Cyprus. And
right. You can buy into their immigration platform. Unfortunately, Portugal isn't an E2 country, but these other countries, you can buy real estate through, immigration through real estate investment and then get access to the US. So they're also springboards. So this again brings the whole picture together about how can eXp impact you. I look at people that are like, I don't want to talk about eXp. And I'm like, what? Are you under a rock? Like, it's just, and I started, my boyfriend happens to be my partner in this. And I've always said he drank the Kool-Aid. Like, he's been drinking the Kool-Aid for a long time. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid now. You can't help but drink the Kool-Aid with what you are doing, you and Megan, in this global market and what we are all going to build going forward. Michael, how do people reach you?
Well, it's sort of like, so let me just back up to a couple of things. It's sort of like, everyone sort of says, it's wonderful what you're doing. I can't do a thing. It is this whole amazing team that comes in, and I am so fortunate to have created a wonderful team around me that really is so talented in the international arena and really building in their own skill sets of what we're creating. And we're moving so quickly. And it's not just my team, but it's every other team that really is working within eXp, the legal team, the finance team, the accounting team, everything that we need to do to lift up a country. Remember, we're not a franchise. We have to go in and create a corporation in every country that we're in. We have to set up a banking relationship, an accounting relationship. We have to hire our broker of record. We've got to have a small team in place. There's a lot of people involved that touch this project for any country that we're in, which again, when you start thinking about, we've done this in 5 countries in 2 months, it's next to impossible because we're doing this simultaneously times 5. And then next year, we're gonna have a lot more countries that we'll be announcing. But
Can you
we're
just
gonna
tell me a number?
We'll be in double digits next.
That's what I figured, at least double digits. Based on this year, I figured it's gonna be double digits.
And so we're gonna be really aggressive next year, but it is that whole sort of thing that there is a lot of opportunity. So we've set up a few ways of communication. There is one website that we really ask everyone to go to first. It is expglobal.partners. That is a site that allows, and it's an external site, so you don't have to be with eXp to reach it. So it's expglobal.partners. And then there, if there's an interest for any of the, well, first of all, what we do is that we allow pre-registration of interest for any countries we announce.
Right,
so those things,
announced, right.
Obviously, we've already done it for this year. We'll be announcing our Q1 countries the first week in January. So once we announce those countries, people will be able to pre-register interest for those countries. That site also has a separate tab that allows you to put in an interest for a country we may not have already announced. So if there's a country that we haven't announced that you have a contact for or that you want us to consider, there is a form there for that. That becomes the best place to start any conversation because that then becomes a CRM system for us that when we do consider a country, we already have a pipeline in place. We'll go back to those folks that had pre-registered or put in an interest of some country. And if we decide to go into that country, we'll reach out to those people first. And so they'll already have sort of somewhat like, traction early on because we'll involve them early on. So that is the best site that we ask people to sort of do. What I would not sort of like implore people not to do is to reach out to me on social media or DMs or anything like that. It's impossible to keep track of all of that. And so we really do want everyone to go to that one site that allows us to really track it well.
Cool. So I guess then, as you know, I have an interest in Israel, which we've been talking about for a while, but we're not talking about any specifics because we're not obviously allowed to. And as a lawyer, I'm very sensitive to that. But
Yeah,
I will say that, as I mentioned, I've had my license for all these years and been doing what I've been doing for all these years. And it's really only through eXp and the platform that it allows us, because it allows you to be as diligently involved as you want. I think
absolutely.
that they say about 50% of the agents are real production agents, and the other 50% are more like me, more of a connection agent that's
I don't know if it's
attracting
that
moving
high, but
house.
I think a lot of our, the majority of our agents are
Are in
producers.
production, right? But not a lot, not as many of them are actually attracting. More of them are in production. Like I guess that I said it wrong. But the production agents are not necessarily attracting, right?
Well, it's
They're
sort of like
starting.
look, I think the real great balance is when you look at the advantages that eXp brings to somebody, right?
Yeah,
And it's the fact that there's four different ways of really earning in eXp as opposed to just your very attractive commissions. So there are people that truly embrace all four of them,
yeah,
and it is that idea that when you're attracting someone to your downline, that person needs to be productive in order for you to have a downline,
right.
right? So
100%.
if you were just sort of like attracting people, then you needed to attract producers in
Right,
order for that to actually be effective for your growth line.
right. And unlock those levels and all of that exciting stuff that happens with that. And I think that too many people just are not fully cognizant. Like when you look at the stock model, the stock line, right? I don't think there's people that came in a couple of years ago that are multimillionaires now because of stock gifts. They didn't even buy any of the stock.
Yeah.
Me, I bought it. I got some gifts, but I didn't buy it at $8, but I did buy it. But there are mega millionaires just from that stock and the amazing record that it's had over these past 8, 9 months. And it's just going to continue. They're projecting it to go to over $160 by the end of 2021, which makes all of us very happy, right?
Well,
So
as an officer of the company, I can't speak about
obviously,
stock for
but
any
it's just
particular.
it's an amazing story to see how that has happened from a penny stock that wasn't even getting attention. People were kind of like, yeah, you know, to telling a story almost like an Amazon level or an Apple level story.
Yeah, listen, I think that it's the value of what we are bringing. Of course, this is not an indication for anyone to buy the stock in any way. This is for someone to go in and do their own
Due
research. But
diligence.
the EXP story is a very compelling story. We've built a wonderful story this year. We acquired Success Enterprises. We started a commercial division. We started the global division, as you know. And we have been really very busy in what we've been doing. Our story is gaining traction. People are learning about us and the value that we bring to the industry.
It's just very different. It's very new, it's very unique, and it's cutting edge. And that's
It
what's
is.
exciting about it. That's one of the
It,
many things. So, Michael, I thank you so much for joining us today. I can't
Lauren,
wait.
thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to work with you. It's a pleasure to be your partner. It's a pleasure to be looking forward to 2021 and be a resource for this company every day as you are. I love it. It gives me pleasure when somebody reaches out to me. When they ask me about divorce law, I'm a little confused and I refer them to one of my colleagues, but that's what this company is about, is being there for each other, helping each other, taking the time on Christmas week to be on my podcast. And I wish you a very Merry Christmas, a happy and healthy New Year. And I can't wait to see what we're going to do together in 2021.
It's going to be amazing, and happy holidays to everyone, to all of your listeners. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak with you. It is my pleasure, and I'm so looking forward to next year. Thank
Thank
you
you,
so much.
Michael. Have a good one. Ciao,
Bye-bye,
ciao.
Lauren.
Bye.